members of the Presidential Task Force, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen of the press, good afternoon, and to our viewers at home and in your various offices, I say a good afternoon. I welcome you to the national briefing by the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 for Wednesday, the 6th of May 2020. We were unable to hold this briefing yesterday because the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 had to brief the leadership and members of the House of Representatives on progress of our national response. Today marks 100 days since the index case of coronavirus was reported in Nigeria. Ever since, and especially after the inauguration of the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, Nigeria, along with other countries of the world, have been plowing through uncharted territories in our effort to contain the spread of the virus. Guided by the leadership of Mr. President, the National Assembly, the cooperation of the sub-national entities, and supported by the sacrificial commitment of our frontline health workers, the media, the private sector, our security agencies, religious, traditional, and community leaders, as well as a greater majority of Nigerians, the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 has been pursuing a multi-sectoral national response. We deeply appreciate your support in this fight. The briefing of the Presidential Task Force to the House of Representatives, I must report, was very robust and fruitful. The interaction allowed for a comprehensive assessment of the public health situation in Nigeria, and we received assurances that necessary synergy will be strengthened and legislative interventions effected. The Presidential Task Force thanks the leadership and members of the House of Representatives for the guidance and demonstration of leadership in this era of a public health emergency. Early assessment of the ease of lockdown phase indicate that Nigerians are yet to come to terms with the deadliness and the virulent nature of the COVID-19, and this gives us concerns on the high possibility of increased seeding of the virus to hitherto unaffected persons and populations. Some of these areas of worries include the following: non-compliance with social/physical distancing guidelines evidenced by the higher than ordinary level of congregation of persons in banks, traffic gridlocks, especially at entry points to metropolitan areas, and disregard of guidelines on carrying capacity of our motor vehicles and tricycles. Increased level of interstate movements worsened by the dubious concealment of people in food-carrying vehicles. Unhygienic and ill-advised use and sharing of masks, especially multiple fittings, before buying from the vendors. Once again, we appeal to the governors to please align their plan for the movement of the Almajiris with the ban imposed by the President. We shall intensify our dialogue on these matters with them. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to reiterate the fact that Our individual and collective safety is in our hands, and I re-echo my call and appeal to Nigerians to demonstrate our duty to ourselves and loved ones by minimizing the risk of getting infected by the virus. As we continue to push the frontiers of risk communication, I wish to appeal to all Nigerians to be vigilant and desist from taking undue risk. The Presidential Task Force recognizes the challenges earlier encountered at the bank. We, however, assure you that the Central Bank of Nigeria, as well as the Bankers Committee, have put in place strategies that will reduce such reoccurrences. I therefore plead with Nigerians to be patient and schedule their physical appearances at the banks. On the other hand, I wish to repeat my call to the banks to also quickly address issues related to difficulty with using their online platforms, especially revalidating expired ATM cards, amongst others. In view of the fact that public transportation is a major clustering area through which the virus can easily be transmitted, we call on the leadership of various transport unions to properly enlighten their members on the dangers associated with non-adherence to the COVID-19 containment guidelines. We also urge them to educate their members on the ban imposed on interstate travels. Tomorrow marks the last day for the enforcement of the closure of Nigeria's airspace to flights. We have assessed the situation in the aviation industry and have come to the conclusion that given the facts available to us and based on the evidence of experts, the ban on all flights will be extended for an additional 4 weeks. The Honorable Minister of Aviation will give you details during this briefing. We have continued to interface with the governors, and I'm pleased to inform you that the Nigerian Center for Disease Control will be visiting the Kogi and Cross River states to provide support to the state EOCs. This is a giant leap in the dialogue and collaboration process. We are also retooling all federal medical institutions as part of the overall support to the states. We have received a boost in the isolation facilities available in Abuja with the completion of the Abuja This Day Dome. This facility will be inaugurated by the grace of God on the 12th of May, 2020. The Presidential Task Force, and indeed Mr. President, is deeply worried about reports on the increasing rate of infection of medical doctors and personnel. While we renew our efforts at training these frontline workers about the infectious nature of this virus, we urge that utmost care be taken in managing COVID-19 related cases. We have similarly received reports about the emerging situation in isolation centers in Gombe, circulating in a viral video clip. We have investigated, and I wish to assure you that the Nigerian Center for Disease Control team is on ground in Gombe to support the state EOC. Similarly, I can confirm that the testing laboratory in Gombe will be activated soon. The overall assessment of compliance with the measures and outcomes of modeling we have developed point in the direction of danger ahead. We therefore need personal discipline, increased awareness, and enforcement. The Presidential Task Force calls on community, religious, and traditional leaders to take up this challenge. Similarly, We call on trade associations, professional bodies, and organizations to complement the efforts of government. The Presidential Task Force appreciates your effort, but it has become very obvious that more needs to be done together. While we continue to advocate strict compliance with the prescribed measures, the Presidential Task Force urges Nigerians to also use this period of the pandemic to build social solidarity by eschewing stigmatization, support the mental well-being of our compatriots that are infected, continue to provide for the poor, sick, aged, and the vulnerable, and to provide support in whatever manner. I will now call on the Minister of Health, the DG, Nigeria Center for Disease Control, and the National Coordinator to provide updates on new developments. Similarly, the Ministers of Aviation, that of Humanitarian Affairs, and Foreign Affairs will brief you after we have taken the technical briefings. I thank you for listening. Thank you.